Young fella, what's your name?
My name is Joey. People call me Styles. A lot of you know me. Some of you don't.
Joey, where'd you grow up?
Grew up, I was born in Gastonia. Grew up around Kings Mountain and Shelby. Moved all over the place from Oklahoma all the way out back through Charlotte, Lincoln, Virginia, Atlanta, all that
Your,
good stuff.
your mom and daddy alive?
Yeah, my mom and my dad,
You got brothers and sisters?
brothers and sisters, they're alive and great.
You got kids?
No, sir.
Tell me your favorite childhood memory.
Hmm. Favorite childhood memory. Hmm. There's a video I got for me. I was probably 6 years old in a park peeing on a tree. My mother asked me, she's like, "What you doing?" I was like, "Peeing on a tree." I'm talking about tidy whities around the ankles, just classic picture of standing against a tree peeing.
Are you in recovery?
Not anymore. I've actually done my recovery time, more than at least 4 years of my recovery time.
What was your drug of choice?
It wasn't necessarily a drug, it was a traumatic brain injury diagnosis. Of,
Tell me about that.
uh, I was helping my mother move and just fell asleep at the wheel, hit a tree going 80. Woke up 2 weeks later, uh, flatlined several times. Right leg came completely off my body, lungs collapsed, brain swelled for 2 years, all that good stuff. Being on the run from the law.
What was you running from the law for?
Uh, in the time my family needed some money, your neighborhood drug dealer paid me 10 grand to beat up a man that robbed him. And they gave me armed robbery. 2 years later, I went to trial, mistrial to conspiracy, beat 15 years and got 5.5.
So you wound up in prison doing prison time?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me about it?
It's hard to really talk about prison and make people understand it, because even though I was prepared to go, I wasn't prepared for what I had to go through. Uh, just say for 3 years, I cried alone every day for those first 3 years. Prison is a place where there aren't any smiles. You have to create them. And they say it's correction, but the only correction you have is what you give yourself, because them people in there don't care about you. And there are some good people, and there are some great men in there. It's people that don't deserve anything that they have to go through. But all I know is when I was thrown in a hole with nothing but God and a pen, I found out who I needed to be and who I really was, actually, and who was with me and who wasn't, what worked in my life and what didn't. I had to live years uncomfortable because I knew if I would have just adapted to everything, I wouldn't be able to learn anything. And I love my family enough to know that if I didn't change, it would drag them along with me. Because that's one thing that you don't realize, is that those who actually do love you are doing that time with you. Like, I mean, I almost caught a body from an assault charge and almost spent life in prison, but was lucky enough to not have that. And you are who you hang with. Like, if I would have never been hanging around the people to where I knew the connections I knew, that would have never been brought up to me. And I'd have figured something else out. And I grew up like, I host showcases, I rap for a living. Actually, when I caught that charge, I made my first bond. My boss man became a child molester and lost his company and I lost my job. So I had one paycheck left to finish paying bonds or to do something else. And my boy was like, yo, here's a rap contest. Do that. So I threw everything I had, last little bit, at 1 second, and took off and ran for 2 years, doing shows. I've been on Power 98, Keep It or Sweep It. I've done shows with OG Boss Tech, Big Lean, 1045, Nappy Roots. It's been a heck of a life. I tried to die. I remember being in East Atlanta, talking the most craziest thug stuff you would never expect to hear, and hoping somebody would get mad and shoot me, but instead they fell in love with it. And like, I realized, man, that I have the power to influence and speak to people and grab the attentions of crowds when other people can't. And so it was after my first year in prison, I realized I wanted to use that talent to help reach people. And since I do things in my community, I could be the one, to take people out of the streets and put them where they want to be, or where they something better, at least give them a different outlook on life. Even on the run, I did a show for the 4th of July fireworks show in Kings Mountain, had to sit in front of the city council, present lyrics and everything, and helped raise over $100,000 for my community, and they didn't even know who I was. Those were the things that were important to me when my back was against the wall. None of this, none of the drugs, none of the women, none of the money, none of this and that. It was just living my dream and living every day like I was about to die, because I definitely wasn't granted anything else. And that started the whole spark of me knowing exactly who I was and my worth. So when I went to prison, I even got stabbed and put in the hospital because I couldn't give extra t-shirts out. But there's so much hatred in a place like that. By the fact of me coming out and feeding those same people showed so much love and so much care that no one else really, that you don't see every day. And it stopped a lot. It takes stereotypes and stigma away, and it put me in a great position to where people with power and influence listen more and more. And right at the end of my bid, I met a man. Shout out Keith, BMF boy, love you, man. Can't wait to see you. This man brought his own peer support class from the feds and asked me to host it with him. And so we would for at least 6 months. And being able to speak in front of those type of people and have them literally come together instead of hating each other from all kinds of gangs to cultures to religions to races to anything else, like everybody just coming together as one and sharing experiences and trying to overcome the oppression that we're put through every day. That showed me that I can actually make a difference. Everything that you believe you are is technically a lie, unless you've been by yourself long enough to know exactly what you want and who you are. And I was spent in a hole, let's just say, for instance, 3 months I spent in a hole for assault on the police and didn't speak a word to another man. And I had nothing but God in my pen. And those things elevated when everything else faded. And my love for people grew because I would be daggum if I went through all that to help my family only to grow sour and of a hard heart. I knew there was something better, and I knew something was against me and not for me that was trying to make me feel that way. So I stood up against it for years and years and years until it became my natural daily thing, just to wake up and want to spread love every day, instead of hatred. You wouldn't believe the effect it has on more than the person that you give a smile to. Say, I want to be a peer support specialist, and so that's what I did. I came home, got a job 2 days out, saved up enough money where I could quit my job and pay my bills and save and go to school, and became a peer support specialist. And as soon as I get my registrations back, I started looking for jobs, and like they're reaching out. It actually came through a friend of mine too, which was funny. I didn't know she was a NCPSS, but I didn't know what I was walking into, and I walk into a job that's at a detox facility to where technically I would be a CO, walking around doing rounds, helping pass out boxes and baskets of cigarettes and food and clothes, and I get to be the person that everyone locked down always hoped someone like me would fill that job. And instead of seeing, like, mind you, I saw and I heard all the awful things that them police did, saw the good things, and I got to also hear the complaints and what they wish people like that would do. So I'm very well informed to be in the position that God obviously just gave to me and gave me the chance to start helping for real. And I'm stoked on it. Like it's every single one of them tears, every single hardship I went through, every single prayer, man, it was answered and given to me. And what's funny, God made a song, or a man made a song, and he said, God, but why don't you do something? And he said, I did, I made you. So I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna do something and try to let everybody know that they can do it too. I used to work at the clothes exchange. Mind you, prison, I'm bald, right? People think I'm racist. It is what it is. Uh, I used to like say you come through in a line, you give me your dirty clothes, I call out how many you give me, and the guy gives you clean ones. Some days I couldn't give you extras, some days I could. On this particular day, I couldn't give out extras. And the dudes get mad because they think I'm racist as well, and they try to jump me. And so I beat up both of them, and they are gang. So they come back 4 deep and stabbed me half to death. And so I went to the hole. I got 12 staples in my head, broken hand, no surgery. I sat in the hole for about 2 weeks before, I wouldn't snitch, can't snitch. That's against your life, your safety. And police actually got mad at me and would try to send me in the block to scare me with 3 of the dudes that did it. And so I went down, cast on, everything else, staples still in my head, like. And I went to the block, and everybody starts raising hell. And then a dude comes up, he's like, "Listen, we got a bunk back here." Well, the officer tells the Sarge comes down. He says, "No." He said, "Either you go in that block or you go to closed custody and sit in the hole for 6 months." So I told him, I said, "Knowing there's a bottom bunk open," I said, "you're denying my safety and sending me in there." And he just smiled at me. And at that point right there, I realized that I was alone. But see, what's crazy is love overcomes everything. Respect becomes everything. And them dudes saw what them people were doing to me. And they allowed me to come in, and we squashed our differences. We slept beside each other. Really, everybody's scared that somebody gonna get stabbed in their sleep. But at the whole time, I'm just sitting there praying that they know that they're loved, and that, like, it was just all misunderstandings, and that we're all in the same boat. I used to not hang around dudes like that. I grew up with a house full of women. I was the alpha. I was everything. And I learned real quickly in prison that you can't beat everybody. So who you can't, you got to learn how to move around. And that goes with everything in life. You move around the things that you can't change, because there's no sense in stressing over something you have no choice in the matter.
Tell me about your music. Where's your inspiration come from?
Man, my inspiration just came from my life. Uh, I fell in love. I remember Cream by Wu-Tang was actually the first beat that I heard that made me want to start rapping. I was like 16. And as soon as I started, I never stopped. And one of my friends, rest in peace, Pope, love you, boy, he actually he used to record all of our skate videos and hit me up one day, was like, yo, I'm promoting shows. You want to start rapping? Yeah, of course. And he showed me how to promote shows, and we got in, and I fell in love with it as soon as they started cheering for me. There's nothing better than that besides God. But yeah, my music's my life. My music's what kept my sanity in prison. I'm talking about every time I'd wake up, any emotion, I've learned how to bleed every emotion through that. Most of them cool kids at your school, they're going to die, or they're going to go to prison, or they're going to become drug addicts and failures most of the time, because they rely on everybody else to give them what they need in their heart. If you have the courage to go for what you want, I made a thing that said success can only grow from the seed of courage planted in the heart's truest desire. No one else can do what you want like you can, and everybody else is doing what everyone else wants. Don't waste your time, don't waste your life caring to impress anybody else. Like, honestly, I never thought that I was going to be a rapper and actually have it incorporated in my life, period. But it did, and that's what my life is. Granted, I love mountains, I love yoga, I love skateboarding, I love all types of anything and everything. So it's just like I came home, and after my car wreck, I can't physically work like that for a long period of time because it breaks my body. So now I get to do a job where I don't work a single day in my life because it's something I love, and it's something I had the courage to chase. Instead of listening to everybody else tell me that why would you do this when you rap, or that you're just fresh out of prison and stuff like that and everything else. Like, how could you say you love people? And say I love people because I've woke up with blood on my hands. And that's prison calling me right there. It's them boys. Woke up with blood on my hands and still felt like that I would get more. And the only way to wipe that away was to help someone else. And then once all my debts were paid, that's when everything started just coming and blessing and blessings and blessings. And God is real. God is there. God is the only thing. The best way, if you're not even a religious person, the best way I can put God, I don't even want to put him in a small box. But whether there is or whether there isn't, all I know is when I spent years by myself with nothing, God was there for me. When my family couldn't be there for God was there for me. Every decision I made bad, God was there for me. Every decision I made good, God was there with me. And it's just, there would be no point in love and hatred, the difference, if there wasn't a reason, if there wasn't a life after this. And I would rather keep reading my word and going by the word and going by God, and knowing that it helps benefit everything, and take that chance of nothing happening than take the chance of losing it all. Well, let's just start with the awareness of the mental wellness in our community. Mental awareness isn't just the mind or substance abuse or body. It's community, it's social, it's finances, it's religion, it's anything and everything, your thoughts, you have got to find what it is that you are happy with and comfortable with, that makes the people that love you truly proud of you, and God, but like, you've got to do these things in order to find out where you need to be, where you're not going to get the best benefits of what you put the work into. Money and everything else don't matter. Money and all that, nothing matters but your happiness and the happiness of everyone around. And that just really only comes from love. So love first and make decisions off that. You'll be all right.
My little brother, I appreciate this interview.
No problem, man. Appreciate you.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed.